out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? Tune in to Apartment 5B podcast hosted by your man, Kel. I got my squad with me in effect, as always. I got my sis, Porsche, with us. What's going on, babe?
Not a whole lot, Kel. So good to be here.
All right, no doubt. My brother Vern from the ATL. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, good people? Glad to be back, man. Thank y'all for holding me down, man.
Oh, you already know, bro. JR, the R&B guru, youngest in charge. What's good?
What's up? In a different spot in mom's crib, so I'm good. What's going on?
That's what it is. No red cup, so I'm a little off, but it's all good.
I got this.
A great cup. Oh, man. You got to tell moms get the red, bro. You can't.
I did, but I ain't grab it. My bad.
You can't be rocking with the gray. Hey, got a BK. What's going on, fam?
Good, man. Purple tape, but we're not talking about that today. So,
all good. Eddie out of LA. What's good, bro? It's been a minute.
It has, man. Always good to be back, and good to see the whole fan back. You know what I'm saying? So,
no doubt. Got to get this app in. Y'all know me. Let me jump straight to it. If you've been following us, and prayerfully you have, I've been doing a series about what would be. Vern, help me. How many books are in the Bible?
66.
Thank you, Vern. This is why you always keep a godly man in your circle, so that you can always. There's 66 books in the Bible. I know this, everybody. It's been a long week. Okay,
you got the horn rim glasses on too.
Right, you know, like he's definitely a deacon. Right, you know, people always think you gotta keep a shooter around. You can keep a shooter, but you gotta keep a godly man around you too. So you gotta, see how quick he was on that 66 books. Cool. So we always talk about, well, not we, but people always talk about on Twitter, Illmatic is the hip hop Bible, whatever. One day I was posting Criminal Minded, and I just was like, this is my hip hop Bible. And then it hit me, can one album actually be the Bible of hip hop? Well, no. So let's look at the 66 albums from 1980 to 2000. I guess we'll go with the 50th year. So 2023. What 66 albums will make that? We've done our own series. We are now up to 1990 through 1994. Porsche is utterly pissed. I don't know if I've ever seen so many.
I thought you said to 95.
Yeah, I can't count. Don't worry about me. I can't count. Scratch out some stuff from 95 and just throw it back to 94. You could add some. This is Porsche. Porsche, you got 180 albums. Just throw 2 more back from 94 on the list or whatever like that. But Porsche has been throwing shots at me all day on Twitter. How I am making her, how I am forcing her to do this. Why is it so important for this show? Because we can only have 66 albums. On any other show, we all know I never mind Porsche being KC. I don't mind her being drunk KC. But this show, I need you to be Wanye. I need you to be in love. I need you to be Wanye. I need you to be Nate and Sean, just all wrapped up in one, and follow the rules for just this one show. The other, however many shows we do in a year, the other 51 shows, you can have 800 honorable mentions.
But when you brought up the year, like the increment of the year from 1990 to 95, I don't know if you remember this, but I laughed. I actually went like, I can name 12 just in 94 alone.
You
like,
did.
What are you doing to me? And so I'm like compiling this list, and I was like, it's impossible. Like, I'm not doing this. What is Kill talking about 12 albums? Like, maybe in the 2000s, we can I can skim it down to like 3, just so I could add more to this particular time period, because this was wild for me. Like, I honestly have 24 albums, and I didn't even include 18 that I wanted to put on here. I was trying to be like I was like, okay, I'll negotiate with Kill. I'll just tell him like on another year I'll go like one. I don't know what kind of negotiations I can bring to the table. But this one was crazy. I don't know what to do. I honestly don't know what to do.
Do you want to go last so that you can figure out what 12 you're gonna grasp?
I would be like game and like maybe just integrate all of the 30.
Porsche, I already know how you think. You're the type of person who would be like, you're gonna try and make all the Wu solo albums one. I already know how your brain works. No, 12. The one time, this is the only one show that I ever asked you, you gotta stick to the rules. You gotta take your shoes off. You gotta take the shoes off.
You guys,
but we're gonna let
my list. This is more than 12.
Oh, I
can't turn this down.
You have to, Porsche.
Okay,
you can do it.
I'm gonna go last then because.
So I just want to confirm once and for all: are we including 95 or are we not including 95? No.
No 95.
All right, that makes it easier for me. That makes it a lot easier.
All I want to do in life is make it easier for everybody. All right, Vague, why don't you set us off? Let me move Porsche down here because I'll forget. Vague, why don't you set us off? What are 3 of your 12 albums?
3 of them. All right. So I'll start at the top. LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out. Ice Cube's Death Certificate, and A Tribe Called Quest, The Low End Theory.
So we're not going in chronological order by year?
I mean, you can put them however you have. I think I have mine in order by year, but however you want to do it. Vague, talk a little bit about each one. Why did those make your list?
So I think LL Cool J's Mama Said Knock You Out, not only because it's a classic album, it was a very dope album, but I think it was the first time in hip hop a major artist was able to come back from not having a great album. You know what I'm saying? Because typically in hip hop, especially in the early days, if you had a whack album, you might have been done. People just stopped checking for you, or at least didn't have faith. But he came back in such a big way. It was probably one of the first times you saw somebody not only come back, but also kind of reinvent themselves, because when he originally came out and where it looked like his career was going, but Mama Said Knock You Out was like, nah, LL's here to stay. And, got Marley with him. He got all these concepts on his album. The beats are crazy. Like it was everything. It was absolutely everything. The video, you already know how I feel about Mama Said Knock You Out video. Nigga punching at the screen. I love it. But yeah, that album is just a testament. Y'all know how I feel about Death Certificate. Like that is my favorite hip hop album of all time. For a lot of the same reasons I just said Mama Said Knock You Out, but mainly because everybody loved America's Most Wanted, and Sophomore Jinx could be a thing. But in a lot of ways, I think it's better because it's more refined, production-wise, concept-wise, with the I think it was a light side and a dark side on the set, something like that, where his subject matter kind of changed or whatever and was connected through the last song on the A side of him passing away, but coming out on the other side more positive or whatever. Contained one of the top 3 greatest diss songs of all time, One Man Against a Group. Like it's just everything. And in a song like in storytelling, you know what I'm saying, on the game size on another level, like for example, My Summer Vacation, right? Like that was a thing that a lot of elementary schools or schools did, hey, what you do for summer, write about this. Well, Ice Cube in this story, they went to another state, set up a crack spot, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, damn, I never thought about that, like as a flip of a concept, you know what I'm saying? To take something like that and say, I'm gonna do this. But it kind of makes sense since he did Gangsta Fairy Tales and stuff like that. And A Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory, my favorite Tribe Called Quest album. I think it's the main album most people point to when they talk about hip hop and jazz samples, you know what I'm saying? But not just that. Posse Cut, Old Time Posse Cut, that came with a remix. Also, all the videos were dope. Like everything about it was just dope, except for that Scott Pages shit. Even to this, what is it? 30 years? 30 years I've been skipping that shit. Like, turn that off.
Right.
It was out of place for me. But just a very dope album, dope features. There's jazz samples, but also the legendary Ron Carter is on the bass. And if you know, jazz is just not, Q-Tip said his name. No, he is a legend in jazz unto itself. And he's on this album. And he wasn't known for being very friendly when it came to collaborating. Here he is, and I'm talking about with musicians, let alone hip-hop artists. So it's just a very dope album, and I think just those 3 albums are like impact points in the history of hip-hop, along with other albums that just really shows the difference and the complexity, even within the 3 people I named, or the 3 artists I named. None of them are the same. But, that was the 90s. Now y'all know why we be talking about them. We only said 3. So.
Right. Now I feel, and I'm almost in the same cut. I got Q, but I got America's Most Wanted. I got the debut. Just again, like just coming off of it was crazy because Q was leaving the biggest group at the time. You know what I mean? And again, there's no social media, so we don't have constant updates of what's going on. Word just gets to hear that Q was leaving, and you like, Q leaving? Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? And then going to the Bomb Squad and coming to New York and everything. So, I mean, just from the nigga you love to hate, like just from the time I heard that, it was just a ride. It was just like, and I'm never looking back. I think just hearing the nigga you love to hate took away any thought, for me at least, like, damn, he messed up. Like, this dude, you know what I mean? Like, you made the wrong decision, bro. Like, it was like, and it never stopped. I mean, to this day, Once Upon a Time in the Project is one of my favorite songs ever. You know what I mean? So that's one of mine right there with Q. Same with Vague. Mama Said Knock You Out. I got one of the dopest comeback albums ever. To me, it encompasses everything that you would want from hip hop. Like, there's a song on there for everybody. Like, when I heard Boom and System, it was like, yo, because that was just the shit in 1990. Everybody in their car. I mean, I'm 15, 16, so my old heads got cars with when you hit the EQ play, connect the dots, and the EQs would be in the whips and everything like that. So that was crazy. I mean, Around the Way Girl, just classic. It's just, who didn't like Around the Way Girl? If you don't like Around the Way Girl, you the fans. Like, I don't trust you. Like, it was just too perfect. I mean, just something for everybody on there. So I mean, Eat 'Em Up, like he had something for literally, if you wanted these type of songs, I got that. You know what I mean? Murdergram, Cheesy Rap Blues. Oh God, one of my favorite LL songs. Just about being on top and nobody wanting to rock with you no more. I mean, Mr. Goodbar. I mean, yo, L to me has some of the dopest. Here's the thing. I'm like Nas. I got no game. It's just some shorties understand my story. Like, I had no game growing up, so I would use L's lines for game. So when that nigga said, you got a man or something you want to talk about, he's smart enough to have you, but dumb enough to let you out. I must have said that shit a million times. Like, L's game was just so slick. I mean, like Vague said, Mama Said Knock You Out, the Jinglin' Babies remix to the Break of Dawn, Illegal. It just keeps going on. Illegal Search, it just kept going on. It just kept getting better and better. And then my third one for this round is One for All by Brand New Beats. You know what I mean? I can't remember what I saw first, whether it was the video or I heard something. I just know I got the tape, and me and my crew was going to a college fair at the Civic Center out in West Philly. And I mean, I just put that tape in, and it just like never left for like a week. Puba to me was like the greatest thing in the world. I remember I didn't like Sadat at first. I would skip over Concerto because I didn't like his high-pitched voice. But then once I probably heard Slow Down and saw the video, I was like, okay, I fuck with this nigga. And then by the time we got for the All For One remix video, I was like, yo, all these dudes is dope. So those are my 3. JR, what you got for number 1? P, I'm sorry, JR, hold on. P, are you ready, or you still want to go last?
No, I still want to go last.
I don't know if Portia's ever been. I don't think I've ever seen her this mad at me. So, JR, what you got, bro?
I got all the ones that y'all picked, but I'm gonna throw one in there, and just because of what the impact of it did. Even though people hate on it, but Please Hammer, Don't Hurt Him. Okay, I'm going to say that because of the impact of what it did. Everybody might have been hating on him, but it was the blueprint of what we got now. So you cannot like hate on that joint. So I throw that in there for real. Mama Said You Knock You Out, like y'all said, is LL coming back after that album before then. But it's like he came back with like, yo, I'm like, don't leave me out. Like, yeah, I might have messed up, but this joint, like, he came with it. And you did One for All, but I'm gonna do Low End Theory. I mean, come on, with the jazz vibe and all that. And then Phife came in. You got to really learn about him. It was all about Tip on the first album for real, but once you got to Low End Theory, it was like, oh, Phife came in, especially with Bugging Out. It was like, whoa, okay, you know what I mean? Because you knew him from Can I Kick It, you know what I mean? But after Bugging Out, it was like, all right, Phife is here. You know, the 5 Foot Assassin is here. So those three is my pick.
All right. I would like to say this. I don't know if people were, I'll speak for me. I wasn't hating on Hammer because, again, hate would be like I'm saying Steph Curry can't shoot. I'm telling a lie about you. To me, that's hate. You know what I mean? Like me being like, yo, LeBron James ain't nice. Nigga, kill you, hate. You know what I mean? Me saying Ben Simmons don't got no jumper is not hating. He has no fucking jumper. You know what I mean? That's just the truth. So I don't know if I was hating on Hammer. I didn't like Hammer after probably that first album or the second album. What was Turner's Mother album? One of them I liked. That was the second album. Let's Get It Started. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if we were hating on Hammer or people just didn't like the way Hammer was going. Somebody told me on the timeline the other day something about Young MC, and I said, I'm sorry, I've never heard that song. I apologize. I just, after I heard Bust a Move, nothing said, hey, go listen to the whole album, so I apologize. I've never heard his album. So, what were you going to say, Bag?
No, I was going to say, I had Hammer on here until I trimmed my list down. Mainly because like most of the MCs I liked were hating on him directly. So it was more so MCs because outside of that, I know Can't Touch This t-shirts and all like Hammer was it. You know what I'm saying? Right. You just didn't argue like, yo, he's better than or people liked him. But a lot of the rappers we like, or most of them were kind of jealous of his success. You know what I'm saying? Because they was like, yo, that's not real hip hop, but it was. It's just that, he just did something different than what, most people were accustomed to. So, yeah.
What were you going to say, Vern?
Yeah, so 51-year-old Vern, I say about 35-year-old Vern on understand and appreciates Hammer. 18, 19-year-old Vern was like, bruh, get this out of here. And it's mainly because Hammer, what you say, Hammer proper, all, like Vague said, all the MCs that were respectable threw shots at him, but it's wild that the things he was dissed for, most of hip-hop became it. And in fact, they strove to be what he was. Yep. So, yeah, so.
That came out like 90, right?
Yeah.
That came out 90. You see, like, I ain't even gonna front, yo. I was 10 years old. I was dancing to MC Hammer, right?
But I mean, Eddie, that's different.
You were 10.
It's an age thing. You were 10.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was 10 years old, right? Yeah. I was 10 years old. I was dancing to him. But at the same time, right, when you were a kid and you getting older, right? Like, another thing that happens is when someone older comes out and says that's corny, it's like you take it to heart. Yep. That's kind of what happened, right? We were all having fun at MC Hammer. Then someone came out like laughing at us like, nah, MC Hammer's corny. And then MC Hammer was corny to us. That was it.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, and Beg, I like what you said about he was doing something new. And I feel like he was doing something new at a time when we were just getting into this cusp. Because one thing about the 90s, we're now starting to get into the lyrical miracle time of hip hop. We're starting to, the Kid and Plays are fading out. Like, you've got to be nice with your bars in order to be respected. So I think, I don't know. I would love to have this conversation. We could do another show about this because I feel like it happens all the time. Bird, like you said, eventually it happened with Bad Boy in the shiny suit era. And it was like, I always wonder, were people hating on it or were people just like, hip hop is about beats and rhymes, and you don't got dope beats and you don't got dope rhymes. You know what I mean? So it's like if 1 + 1 = 2, and you're not doing that, then because that was basically what people had a problem with Puff. It's like your beats need to be something like this. You need to be digging in the crates and pulling a sample nobody ever knew. So if you don't do that, that's not hip hop. So if the track masters loop up Juicy Fruit from M2 made that everybody knows, and then you put a simple rhyme on it, it was like, I know people who love Biggie who was like, Juicy is not on my best of Biggie mix. I was not blown away by Juicy. I didn't love Juicy because it was just like 1 + 1 didn't equal 2. Now I hear Unbelievable and I'm like, oh no, 1 + 1 = 2. So I always wondered, did people really hate on Hammer, or was it just like my equation for hip hop is
they hated on him?
They hated.
They hated on Hammer.
Yeah, I feel like because like Vegas said, it was something new, and then it was hip hop was becoming a business, and he was first at it. You know what I mean? Everybody else wasn't. It was like, we're staying here. This is what it is, and he's looking at it like promotion, this. You know what I'm saying? He's looking at his whole brand, and it helped hip hop succeed. And I think a lot of people wasn't doing that, and they like, oh, he sold out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's what that was.
Time out. Because I heard Vern, I see you vague. Here's the thing. Selling out. People have been doing this since the beginning of the time. Okay? So we go back to the 5 heartbeats. Why we got a crossover? So let's just keep in mind that the crossover has never been a positive thing. Can we just all agree on that? As far as when you're an artist, not a businessman, but as an artist, I don't know any artist who was ever like, oh yeah, I crossed over. Look at me, everybody. I crossed over. I did it. It wasn't the label. It was me. I've never known that person who's like, no, I sold my ass. I crossed over. I'm doing what I don't want to do to make money. So crossover has always been a negative thing. I've never heard the word crossover in a positive way.
That's a hip hop thing.
That's a hip hop thing.
In the 5 heartbeats, when he was like, "Why we got to cross over?" They wasn't happy about the. They wasn't happy about the.
Well, that's not a real group, so let's not use that.
I mean, but it really happened. It would be when that stuff really happened.
No, I'll say this: crossover is a bad thing when the integrity of your art is compromised.
Yes,
but Annie Up crossed over. It did.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, here's the thing.
But it's a crossover.
Great thing. But here's the thing.
That's what I mean. So it could be good.
My definition of crossover is when you are going into something with the intent to cross over. My MOP didn't go into the studio. They tried that with the Rocky sample with Jay-Z. They tried to cross over. So my definition of crossover is when you go into something to say, I am doing this to get on the radio and videos and all that stuff. To me, that's a crossover. If you MOP crossed over with Annie Up, I'm sure them niggas was like, oh shit, how the fuck did this? How is this our song?
It's more nuanced than that, right? Because you could be a day one artist looking for a crossover record. Like, it is a business. It ain't really an artistry thing. It's a business. Everybody wants to cross over. I don't care what songs they make, what they say on wax. Yeah, they have signed a contract. They are employees of a business who is in the business of selling records. And crossover is the ultimate. It's better when you don't have to compromise your art. But if you're new and that's your goal, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing because you haven't made an impression on the audience yet. But if you come out like D'Angelo, right? Like, because D'Angelo is like the ultimate just artist. If he all of a sudden started making, like, I'm gonna say his name, R. Kelly kind of records, then I would be like, nah, man, this is you. Why do you have to make that? So I think it's more nuanced than that. I don't think it's black and white.
And see, what you said was everybody doesn't want to cross over. I think for me, there's a difference. Like, I think everybody wants to sell records. I think that's what everybody wants to do. If you're an artist, you want to sell records. I think most artists want to do it their way. Right. Because if everybody wanted to cross over, then everybody would have been doing what Bad Boy was doing. Tribe, De La, Wu-Tang, everybody would have been following the formula, because that was the formula. Loop up something old, how we get MC Light Cold Rock a party. It was like, hey, let's just loop up, get Puff to loop up, Upside Down by Diana Ross. So I think everybody wants to sell records. I don't know if everybody wants to necessarily cross over, because people have had the opportunity. You know, it's that source I got around here with most Black Thought and Pharaoh on the cover, and they're specifically talking about why they don't want to cross over, why they don't make the music that is selling all the records. And they're telling their story of why they don't want to, because their art is deeper than dumbing it down for the radio. What you gonna say, bro?
I think a lot of people that say that what you just said that they said say that because they ain't selling as many records sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes they use that as a crutch. Well, you know, we're just keeping it authentic. No, you just ain't selling what somebody else is selling. And
but what if they just want? But what if they just want to do that? Like, what if right now somebody? I'll give you a great example. Veg, you remember Young Lord? He was with the Hitmen, and he came down. He was at 889 once. He was like one of the like unknown Hitmen, but Young Lord was with Hitmen. He's in 889. I'm playing them beats. He's like, "Yo, where's your shakers? Where's your ear candy? Your beats ain't fast enough. We gotta get you in the club." And I was like, I just don't. That's not the shit I want to make. Like, I can make it. I just don't want to make it. So as an artist, I can tell you that there are people who are just like, I just don't want to make that kind of music. Like, I don't want to. It's almost like dating somebody. Like, I don't want to date that type of chick. I'm not into the fake Barbie girl. Like it's so like, it doesn't mean like, oh well, Kill, you just saying that because you can't bag one. No, I just don't like them. Like,
I think that's why I said it's more nuanced than that. It ain't black and white. You can have that feeling, but if you get into that game, because you could be independent and feel that way and just make what you want to make. But like you said, with Bad Boy, that's the mission. Crossover means selling records. You know what I'm saying? To making the most out of it. Like, you can sell records and not cross over, but it's just the other level. It's just the good ones, like a Kendrick, get to make what they want because it crosses everything. And he doesn't have to, change up to meet any kind of standard to satisfy a record label. Now they like, what do you want to make? And real quick,
I think
that's what Hammer did, because Hammer was already selling his music successfully before he had a deal.
And still doing the same music that he was doing when he got popular. So it was like,
so it's kind of like it wasn't a formula to sell records. It was just a formula he already came up with that was already successful with the community. You know.
And then I mean, because I got into it with some clown on Twitter. You know, he out there cooning, selling chicken. I'm like, okay, so that's somehow Ice Cube and Cypress Hill strilling for St. Ives malt liquor is so higher, more noble than MC Hammer doing a chicken commercial. Man, get out of here with that, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, because think about it like this. Why do we love Loud Records? Why did everybody want to go to Loud? Because they were a label that was going to let you make the music you wanted to make. That's why we all love Loud. That's why everybody went to Loud. Loud, Steve Rifkin was not like, okay, where's the number one single, y'all? Nah, Pete, that Soul Survivor shit, where's the single? Where's the single, Ray? Go. That's why everybody loved Loud, because this was the label where you could, it's like living with your auntie who's gonna let you do whatever you want to do. Nobody on Loud was like, I've never heard any bad stories about Loud Records, because it was like, you can come here and you can make the music you want to make. I'm not going to force you to put out the single with an R&B singer. I'm not going to force you. I would just love to hear more stories from MCs. Like, that's what I would love with the 50th year of hip hop. I would want to hear like real stories. Like, yo, like, did you really want to make that record? Did you not want to make that record? You know, just different things like that. But I don't want to belabor this. Hammer, I respect them. I don't want no problem. You know what I mean? It's all good.
You follow me on Twitter now, so that's my dude.
yeah. I don't want Hammer to watch this and put a hit out on me in DC. So, you know. Eddie, what you got for your first three?
Okay. I don't have any particular order, but so first one I'm gonna go with Midnight Marauders. You know, no surprise to anyone who knows me. That's probably my favorite hip hop album of all time. I mean, I know, you know, Law and Theory is another iconic album. I feel like with Midnight Marauders, you know, I think they did something really rare in hip hop, right? Where you have that breakout classic album, and then you can arguably top it. You know, you can arguably top. I say arguably because there's still people who still think Low End is better. To me, I think, you know, they they stepped up with the beats. I think rhyme wise, you know, just like if Low End was Phife Dawg's coming out party, I mean, he was really getting busy on Midnight. Like, the quotables were crazy. I feel like their chemistry, you know, got better. Q-Tip, you know, was doing his thing. I mean, the beats, the samples, like, you name it, you know, Electric Relaxation, Award Tour, Lyrics to Go, Oh My God. I mean, you go on and on. I mean, just a phenomenal album. Then I'm gonna go from Queens to Brooklyn, man, and I'm going with Into the Stage, and I just think that has to be there for me. I mean, I just remember that's just one of those albums that just kind of ushered in that movement, right? The boot camp movement. You know what I'm saying? They had their own unique sound, like kind of similar to Wu. They were like very what would be considered now lo-fi, but they just had bangers. Like, talking about what Kill was talking about, like making the music you want to make, like nothing commercial, nothing crossover about it. I mean, obviously there were songs that blew up, like, you know, How Many MCs, Who Got the Props, and so on, man. But you know, it's just gritty, grimy. I mean, the production just crazy, you know. So definitely on there for me. And then, you know, as I mentioned, so we go from Queens, we go to Brooklyn, now we're going to Staten Island with Into the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. And like, what more can you say about that album? I mean, it just took everything by storm. You know what I mean? Like, kung fu samples, like 9 members, like all rhyming different styles. Like, people had solo records, they teamed up together. Like, you know, you had Protected Neck, Cream, Method Man, you name it. I mean, just incredible album, man. So,
all right, bro, what you got for your first coup?
All right, I'm going in chronological years. So in 1990, my 3 are To the East Blackwards, X-Clan. I always say, and I'm gonna continue to say, no one enunciated and said his rhymes as clear as Brother J. He's like a radio DJ, man. I mean, and that was the soundtrack to my freshman year at Georgia State. I had on my poncho, my boots, my unk. You know, I was militant or whatever, man. So, you know, I know they didn't make
pictures. We need pictures.
I don't have any. I was thinking about this today. A lot of the things I don't have pictures of. But I know they didn't make any money off that record, because if they had to clear all them samples,
yeah,
jeez. But it was just funk, man, and it was militant, and I loved it. Then I'm gonna go in People's Instinctive. That's my introduction to Tribe. You know, got Bonita, Footprints, Push It Alone, Can I Kick It? That was the starting point of my love for Tribe. And then Sex Packets, Digital Underground. West Coast, Bay Area. It's like a hip hop P-Funk group. You know, it's one song that's like the soundtrack of my high school graduation party was Do What You Like and the Humpty Dance, man. It was just fun. I mean, nobody ever talks about how Shock G was spitting ill lyrics. They made great music and it was fun. So those are my first 3.
Right. Man, it's like 90 was almost like, I guess, the cutoff of just having fun. You know what I mean? Of just being able to have fun and doing a Humpty. Because when you think about Digital Underground, like, you look back and it's like, yo, this dude has a fake nose on. You know, he's acting like he's fucking Humpty Dumpty. Right. You know what I mean? Like, no, like, but that was the shit. Like, you know what I mean?
What's crazy is that to this day, there's still people who think they're 2 different artists.
Yeah,
like
I think that's the crazy. I think that's the craziest shit right there. Like, to this day. But all right, Porsche, we cool now?
No, not really. I'm just listening to all the albums I can't name because we're only limited to 12. So here we go. I'm going to go with...
I feel like this is like Jody and Yvette. Like, I feel like I just got caught. Like, I'm Jody. Like, I just had your chord and, you know.
No, I'm literally like, oh, great. Yeah, People's Instinctive. What a groundbreaking album for me. Oh, guess what? I can't name it because I've got to name another one because I just don't have the luxury of numbers here. But anyways, I'm gonna go. I have to say, America's Most Wanted by Cube, and the reason for that is I always champion this album. This one and Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation of Millions. To me, those two are integral cornerstones of hip hop. Like, it doesn't matter if you like it or not, you kind of have to like it because they're just so important for being socio-political and just being so socially conscious. And so for me, America's Most Wanted has to be in the hip hop Bible. It just cannot be overlooked just for content alone. Cube definitely brought subject matter that was very, very important for the time. I mean, it was released in 1990 and it just wasn't the climate to be talking about those things. And it, you know, and he did, and that's what we love Cube for, is that he kind of always, you know, said it with his chest and doubled down on it. He didn't care. So for me, I have to name that one, even though it's been mentioned. Tupacalypse Now, Tupac's album. I mean, that one again, for the, I guess, controversial impact it had, I think that it needs to be mentioned because the subject matter again in Tupacalypse Now was one I know, I'm sure everybody knows, but this was the reason that, you know, cops got killed and someone said they were influenced by Pac, and then this album got banned, and it was just a big, giant political, you know, escapade over this album. And I think that that really speaks to the impact that Pac had, especially with this album. And I don't agree that this was influential in that way. I think that's definitely an excuse. And then I got to go with DJ Quick. Quick is the name. And again, DJ Quick is, to me, he's my favorite West Coast producer. I know everybody champions Dre, and I do have Chronic on here as well. But for me, DJ Quick kind of talks. He's like the balanced, rounded out, smooth version of Too Short. Like Too Short, I love, and he's a little bit crude. Quick has the same sort of subject matter, like, you know, over sexualized and very kind of crude and weird, but he says it in a way that you don't really, I don't know, it's not as cringy, I want to say sometimes. So for me, and then of course his beats. I absolutely love DJ Quick's beats, and yeah, it's going to always pop. DJ Quick is always going to be present in my hip hop Bible, so I'm going with those three.
Yeah, man, the flutes have always been an integral part of hip hop. on DJ Quick.
Hey,
before 3 Stacks.
yeah. Somebody did play a flute before 3 Stacks. Everybody watching, he really didn't. You know, it wasn't a new instrument. Everybody. Hey, what you got for your next 3, man?
All right, next 3. Got Dr. Dre, The Chronic, Das Effects, Dead Serious, and Wu-Tang 36 Chambers Into the Wu. Starting with Dr. Dre. My favorite members of NWA were Ice Cube and Ren, yeah. And, you know, they were the spitters, and I never really thought about Dre like that. So when I saw a solo album, well, I told the story, I thought it was a damn bootleg. When I saw the cover, I'm like, what's this? Right. But you want to talk about the production, the way he separated himself from the production of NWA and kind of created this new sound for Death Row, ushering in Snoop, them making a great combo. Songs like Dre Day, Let Me Ride, Stranded on Death Row, which like just different looks as far as production and approach. Corrupt being in there, where you like get raised, where you like, oh, they got straight up spitters also. Like just a fantastic surprise for me when I heard that album back then. Bought it on the spot, you know, where I was. Das Effects, Dead Serious, man. Every time I press play on this album, I start to feel like it's not appreciated enough for a time of fun lyrics in a way, you know, but still kind of dope and a lot of wordplay and stuff like that, where I wasn't really tired of it. Like I became a little bit later. Like by the time we got Blue Cheese, I was like, all right, y'all, colors in the fucking East Coast stomp, chill. But I've come to appreciate it more over time to show that also hip hop can be this, right? It doesn't have to be Ice Cube. It doesn't have to be Dre. It doesn't have to be guns and liquors and hallways and shit. It can be this, and it can still be dope and fun. And the remixes, Pete Rock Jessamine remix, I get the same exact feeling when I hear the cuts in the beginning and he say DOS effects and the beat switches and they start rhyming. That album is not appreciated the way it should be, to be honest. Flawless. And
right, the Mike Checker remix. Man, the way that thing comes on. Yeah. But the main one was that one that starts with that new intro, and then the beat kind of just breathes for a minute, and then it comes in like, oh my god.
Yeah, I used to rhyme over that break a lot back then. They also used it for what was it called? Hardcore? That joint that wasn't on any album, you know what I'm talking about? No, Hard Like a Criminal. Hard Like a Criminal. They rhymed over it on that shit, and it was like
crazy,
ridiculous. And my last one, 36 Chambers, The Woo. I've told the story, I've written it in a book, all kinds of crazy shit. But I had heard nothing like that before. Like it was just different on so many different levels. Like, you know, I heard Protect Your Neck and Method Man, and it was just like, oh, they're dope. The beats are hot, they could rhyme. Then I heard Cream, and I was like, well, wait a minute. And Can It Be? And I'm like, nah, this shit is different. And then I go buy the album and Shame on the Nigga comes on, and that's a different look from all the other songs that we just named. And then I'm looking at the Genius, like, wait a minute, this the same dude? He one of the nicest in the crew. So it was just something fresh and new in hip hop, and it was grimy and it was perfect for the time, especially in New York, where, you know, when it's cold, it's them winters and you hoodied and timmed up with your whole baggy outfit. You know, it just was the soundtrack to everything. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, those three albums.
So next up, I got Low End for all the reasons everybody else said. Wasn't a big Tribe fan with People's Instinctives. I liked it, but when I define myself being a fan, it doesn't mean I don't like it. It just means I wasn't really checking for nothing else. You know, but when I heard the remix to Can I Kick It, when I saw that video, I was like, yo, this shit is hard. Like, it was just something about that Baby Huey mix on top of them drums that really made me go like, oh. And then I saw the video for Check the Rhyme, and I was like, oh, these niggas dress normal now. Like, now I can fuck with y'all. Like, I didn't know with everything I didn't know if they left they Wild Now Segundo. I didn't know what the hell was going on, you know. But when I seen Check the Rhyme video, I was like, this is crazy. Buy the album, of course. We know what they got. Same thing like JR said. It was like, okay, you hear Butter and you're like, oh, this is why the nigga fight for the group. Like, you know, because after People's Instinctives, I'm like, yo, what does this nigga do? Like, what's the point? And you can see he kind of came out with a vengeance to let people know, like, you know, he's part of the group. Next up, I got Mech and the Soul Brother. I mean, to me, one of the GOAT songs, you know, of all time. Portia's favorite song, Troy. Just everything on that album. Like, I think the only song I did not like on that album was Lots of Love. I just was never in love with that song. Yeah. But then when he came with the Lots of Love remix, I was like, okay, I'm good now. Like, I'm good, you know. So definitely Mech and the Soul Brother. And then last, like Veg said, The Chronic. I mean, just the intro of just Snoop, one of the greatest, you know, hip hop stars in the world that we've ever seen, the Dog Pound Rage. I mean, everything. And I think, Veg, the dope thing that I kind of took away from when you were talking was like, they were just great songs. Like, I think somewhere along the way, especially now where we're at now, we've lost great songs. You know what I mean? Like I said, I love Griselda to death, but if you ask me to name my top 5 songs, I probably don't know the title of those songs because they don't have hooks. I don't, you know, them niggas be naming their songs anything. Like, I don't know, you know, but Dre Day, Let Me Ride, like Number the G, like these were just all great songs, man. And just incredible.
Real quick, I'm glad you said that because Little Ghetto Boy and like the timing of a song like that after the riots with the sound bites from like I guess it was town hall meetings and all that.
Yeah.
Just it had a greater impact than just, you know, we riding and smoking chronic.
Right. And I mean, even the hitting track, because Bitches Ain't Shit wasn't really like listed. It was like a hit, was it?
Right.
No, I'm saying, man, that track is so
it was like a hitting track. So
boy,
even hearing that, you know, it was just like, yo, them drums, it was like, yo, and just Dre and Snoop going back and forth, like it was like, yo, this is just an incredible journey of what we want to see. JR, what you got up next for your next three?
It's gonna be the same ones. I would say the Chronic, Mecca and the Soul Brother, and Wu-Tang. And like Vegas said, the Wu-Tang, it just felt so thick. The production of it felt so thick, and with the samples and all that, it was just something completely different. And it was just like like you said, you listen to Shame on the Nigga, it's like, whoa. It's like sound completely different than everything that you've heard. So yeah, the Chronic, the impact of that, like I'm just like I said, Little Ghetto Boy. That's what I was gonna say. Just using that Donny Hathaway thing, and then to add that into there, like, you know what I'm saying, added that little, you know, bites of, you know, what they were talking about doing the riots and all. I think it was just brilliant, just a brilliant record. You know what I mean? And Mecca and the Soul Brother for Troy alone, like so for that, those are my three, right?
Hey, Kill, can I also say that what instrument was heavy on Little Ghetto Boy?
The flute.
Yeah. Imagine that. Okay.
We need to do a show.
They don't, for real.
We need to do a show about the best flute samples before 3000 brought it out, just so people could run and listen to flutes all along and didn't even know it, y'all. Eddie, what you got up next, man?
All right, I got a trio also from the same year. So I'm going Ready to Die, Hard to Earn, and Illmatic. Ready to Die, you know, just Biggie being Biggie, man, just that charisma. Obviously, he could, you know, rhyme his ass off. Storytelling, just everything. I mean, obviously, you know, you have the Puff formula with, you know, Big Papa and joints like that, but you know, you had Warning, you had Give Me the Loot, you had Unbelievable. You know, he was just rapping his ass off, you know what I'm saying? And you know, he had songs for everything. I mean, I think we've talked about it in other shows, right? He kind of took the Heavy D formula, but I think just Big just had that it factor, you know? So then I moved to Hard to Earn. I think obviously Gangstar just has like an incredible catalog, right? But I think Hard to Earn, at least to me, from my perspective, it kind of did some. It kind of put them on a different tier, right? It kind of, I think it reached new ears. You know what I'm saying, with Mass Appeal and joints like that. But just an incredible album from beginning to end. You know what I'm saying, the features on it was crazy. You know, just you know, production. I mean, the album just sounded harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying that they weren't hard, but you know, Gangstar always had, like, you know, the jazz samples and all that. I feel like Hard to Earn just was harder than everything else that came out. You know what I'm saying? Incredible album. And then Illmatic. I mean, it's like what to say about the album that hadn't already been said. You know, I'm not gonna go into the greatest album of all time. I don't agree with that. I obviously, but it's in my 12, so I think it's one of the greatest. But I mean, I think what Nas did at his age, obviously working with the greatest producers, greatest hip hop producer at that time, what was just an amazing body of work, concise. You know what I'm saying? The storytelling, the pen, you know, from, you know, The World Is Yours, One Love, It Ain't Hard to Tell, just everything, man.
All right. No doubt, Vern, what you got up?
All right, 1991. Low End Theory, just one of the greatest hip hop albums ever. Again, another timestamp. I graduated high school in 90. I didn't start Georgia State till winter of 91. And my sister bought that tape for me, and I can see myself with my Walkman riding the train and going to Sparks Hall and hearing Fife say, "I got more rhymes than the Winans Got Family." It was like to go from People's Instinctive to Low End was like going from high school to college. It was a progression that made me say, okay, yeah, these dudes are those dudes. So, I mean, I could rattle off all the songs. They're timeless hip-hop classics. So I'm gonna go Low End. And in my Bible, I'm putting the UMC's Fruits of Nature. I love that album for a number of reasons. I love the fact that somebody we mentioned before, like in 90, you could still have fun. UMC was having fun, you know, Blue Cheese and kicking and dancing and One to Grow On. And that album was dope. Any Way the Wind Blows, Never Never Land, It's Gonna Last. I like them dudes, man. So I'm going UMC's Fruits of Nature. And then third one, I'm gonna go a Wolf in Sheep Clothing, Black Sheep. So I'm a native tongue lover, as everybody knows. That's no secret. Black Sheep truly was the black sheep of the native tongue family. I mean, they cussed, they did wild. I mean, I remember when I first got that tape and put it in, the first song, if y'all remember,
Get the skit.
Smoke up. I shot my mom in the face. Wake up. I had a dream and I was hard. And that was hilarious. Because I love MCs who do not take themselves too seriously. But that nigga Dreams can spit, man. Bruh, Black with Envy,
yeah.
That nigga blacked out. He spazzed out on that mug, man. You know,
oh, man.
Flavor of the month. And then, like I say, here's my test to see if you're a Fed or not. If you don't drop down on your hunches when you hear engine number 9 on the New York train, you the Feds. You wearing a wire, and I ain't answering no questions. So,
bro, you treating them like how Ace wasn't paid in full. Them dudes kept coming up like,
yeah. We over here building. I don't know nothing about that over there.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, man. So, but just we've named 6 songs that would pretty much fold up people's careers. I mean, six albums that will fold up people's careers, and we ain't even halfway there yet. Well, yes, we are. I can't add Kill. 6 is half of 12. But you get the point. So those are my 3 for 91.
What I loved about what you're talking about, Tribe, was like you said, the progression. And kind of being a producer, understanding, like seeing where Tip's production was on People's Instinctive. And seeing how he was growing into not only an MC, but a better producer, you know, and looking for a thicker sound, you know, because as dope as the, you know, Bonita drums are, they're not like the bugging out drums. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you said, I love that analogy from like high school to college. Like, it was, Bonita drums was hard, OG Cannot Kick It drums was hard, but when you get into bugging out and you're getting into them kicks and them snares that just, you know, were crazy. Don't even get me started by the time he got to Midnight. Like, he was just on a whole nother level. So I definitely love the progression piece that you talked about. P, I know you're still pissed at me, but what's your next 3?
My next 3, I'm going to jump around a little bit and go later because I got to leave soon. But
oh, right, I forgot. Give me as much as you got.
Persians celebrate winter solstice on December 21st, and we do like a family gathering and stuff, and that's tonight. So that's why I have to dip out early. But anyway, I'm going to go with Mecca and the Soul Brother, Ready to Die, and Illmatic. And the reason for, I mean, you guys already named Mecca and the Soul Brother. That has my favorite hip hop song of all time on it. I Can't, and Pete Rock, See How Smooth. I mean, that's a 5-night classic for all the reasons you guys mentioned. And then Ready to Die, of course, Biggie's my favorite. That album has like absolutely everything. I think it shows such versatility and such range. It also shows so much of Big's talent with the actual like poetic devices and abilities of rapping as an MC. Like, it's just got so much intricacies in the methods to which he raps, as well as he's got fun subject matter. I mean, the beats are dope. Just that whole album all around is incredible. So I think that's a definite must-have in the hip-hop Bible. And then, of course, Illmatic. I personally prefer It Was Written over Illmatic, but I do think that Illmatic is a game changer, and it is impactful. We can't deny the impact of that album. And for that reason, I mean, Nas, really kind of bent rules with that, and he did things that other MCs weren't doing at the time. And he also, his rhyme scheme, his storytelling, his flow, just everything. And at the age that he was at the time when he had that album, I mean, everything about it definitely deserves to be mentioned, and definitely deserves to be, historic. It was just impactful enough that it does need mention in this capacity. So,
all right, no doubt. Why don't you give us another 3? Because I know you got to dip early.
Okay, then I've got, hold on, I'm just trimming down the list because you made me, so I just have to make sure what I'm mentioning here. Okay, then I've got Low End Theory, The Chronic, and 36 Chambers. Low End, I mean, you guys already mentioned that Tribe is, that album is my favorite Tribe album. And then 36 Chambers, I mean, Vegas, JR, you guys all touched on it. That album to me was unlike, as Vegas said, unlike any other album at the time. Just the whole membership, the variations within the MCs, like every single song is just like dope. It's solid. That album is just 5 mics. I mean, there's no skips, there's no anything with regards to that. And of course, you guys know I wasn't allowed to listen to that album when my parents were around. I actually had to like sneak and listen to it. And it was because of Meth's torture skit. So it just really pushed the envelope. I mean, up until that point, rap wasn't really on my parents' radar, and then all of a sudden 36 Chambers comes into the mix, and it's just, and of course it's one of my favorite albums. So that one for me, it holds a really special place in my heart, in my life. I threatened to throw myself out of the car to go get the album my dad was going to throw out of the window. So and I'm not joking, like I am so effing serious. It was a fiasco, but yeah, I mean, that one for sure. So
all right, no doubt. Veg, what you got up for your next 3?
All right, hold up, let me open. I got Queen Latifah, Black Rain.
God damn. I wasn't allowed to say that because Killer gave me 12. Sorry, I just had to put that out there. Thank you, Vegas.
Snoop Doggy Dogg, Doggy Style, and Nas Illmatic. Starting with Queen Latifah, Black Rain. I think the reason why I added it is because I think it was an example of a female MC having longevity in a big way, because honestly, that's my favorite Queen Latifah album. And she had albums before then, and she had some big records on there, and she had a lot of crossover appeal with some of those records. UNITY, Just Another Day. I like Weekend Love. I really like that song. Like,
me too.
It really. I was like, hey, I like singing. I like Dana singing. You know what I'm saying? I just thought it was dope, and I feel like you mentioned Too Short earlier, right, Portia? About, because I know what you mean about crude. It's the way he says bitch that's different from everybody else.
You're actually right.
You know what I'm saying? But when Queen Latifah says it on UNITY, I feel that. When who you calling a bitch? I'm like, damn, she said that. She said that with I like that, with the force. And I just thought it was a dope record because you didn't usually hear strong records like that from female MCs in hip hop with that kind of subject matter. And the song, what was the song about her brother who had passed
Oh,
away?
Winky Sting.
Winky
Damn, I love that song.
Yeah,
That was
like,
crazy.
Oh
Just-
my God, yes.
just a nice balanced variety of who she is. You didn't lose track of her as an MC. You didn't say, "Oh, living single." Like, she was all of it, and she was branching off into the singing part. So, Doggy Style. I mean, what can you say about this album? It was like there's the Chronic, and then you level up, right?
Yeah.
It was everything. It's one of those albums where you're like, can it meet the hype?
Tell me this real quick. Low in the Midnight or Chronic the Doggy Style? Which one is,
Oh
is
my God.
more like, you know,
Blowing.
which one was like the more one that you were like shocked at? Like, man, can Tribe top this or can Dre top that? Like, which one would you say?
I would say Tribe, only because with Snoop, everything he was touching was crazy. So I just knew without even knowing Doggy Style was going to be high. You know, I would have been disappointed if it wasn't. With Tribe, that level up was different because even just the production on that album. Like, I was listening to Award Tour yesterday. That record always makes me smile, and I don't know why. It just feels good when you hear it. And it's the production, it's the beat, it's what Phife says, is what Q-Tip says. So yeah, I just felt like I thought we were going to get more of the thing, which wasn't a bad thing on Low End Theory, but they leveled it up to a point where it was like, no, Tribe is to be respected, you know, in a lot of ways. They're not just, oh, they're fun, you know, Left My Wild and El Segundo, we got the jazz. No, they're a little bit more hardcore, but for Tribe, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, Doggy Style, you know, the records Ain't No Fun, Doggy Dog World, Murder Was the Case, Gin and Juice. I didn't necessarily like What's My Name at first, because I thought it was real shit. That like that's a damn crossover record. Like it was real cliche. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you know, are they trying to drill in our head his name, which worked. But the rest of the album was just crazy. And let's not forget Rage on the intro.
Listen.
One of the greatest intros ever, because I didn't even listen to the rest of the album yet. I was like, I gotta hear that shit again. Listen. I was writing by that time, so I was already like, yo, you know, so yeah, Doggy Style, crazy. And Illmatic. Now, I'm like Porsche. I'm probably more of a It Was Written kind of guy, mainly because I was so close to the situation with Illmatic, because Illmatic came out, what, 94?
Yeah,
94. So a lot of it was new, and even though I was around for, like, you know, the Back to the Gorilla Games and the halftimes and all of that, it still felt weird to see, you know, Nas and his friends and all that, and not to see my cousin with them. So I was trying to get over that, but then I had homies who I would never tell that it was my cousin at the time. We're like, yo, you heard this Illmatic shit? And I had to play it off in high school, like, oh yeah, shit crazy, like, because it was weird, because I didn't want to attract a certain kind of attention, as you can understand, because I didn't want to talk about it. But I cannot deny the fact that the lyricism, like when I heard Represent and he said, you know, then I'm gonna be the son of Sam, I was like, yeah, this nigga gotta see it crazy, like shit. When I heard New York State of Mind, New York State of Mind is one of those records where I might get violent if I'm around you when that song, because it's a certain vibe, you know. You heard, I don't have a hoodie on today, but I have the imaginary hoodie on when that record comes on. What y'all laughing at? My Santa hat and all that shit? But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one. Well, let me tell one quick thing just for perspective, because I read the source, I read the articles, I followed the making. I was around to get a little insight into it, but when that shit first dropped, and it was the weekend that I went to Queensbridge after it dropped. I never heard any place where any song was playing from any window within the projects. And Queensbridge is huge, and it was just everywhere. Like you walk into a building, you could hear it through somebody's door. They playing it. And I'm like, God damn! Like he platinum in the projects. So to me, it told me that the record, regardless of what was going on with me at the time, the record was much bigger than I anticipated. And I see how important it is to people, because y'all call it the Bible and the greatest album of all time, which I do not agree with. But you can't leave Illmatic out. Illmatic is a staple in hip hop history. So.
All right, no doubt. The next three I got Into the Stage. I mean, yo, when this came out and I seen the video for Who Got the Props, it was just like, yo, that's me. Baggy jeans, knapsack, and a beeper. Like, that was it right there. Like, that line was right there with Puba's, Jabot's hanging baggy heel figure on the top. It was like, you had your backpack, baggy jeans, and your beeper. So, from Who Got the Props, I mean, Act Like You Want It, just everything on that album was crazy, and the I Got You Open remix made me forget how crazy the OG I Got You Open was, which was crazy. I mean, just everything. I mean, You the Man with Havoc, and even Drew High rapping on there, acting like he was Puerto Rican and he white, you know what I mean? Like, nobody talks about that, but okay, and then like Eddie said, just ushered in the whole BCC, you know what I mean? It was just like, Tech and Still on Blacksmith and Wesson. I keep a Blacksmith and Wesson in my polo jacket. Like, that was just crazy to me. Midnight again for all the same reasons. Man, you talk about here on the award tour. Me, my man Drew, Monica, and Tosh, we were like coming back from like Red and going to like the outlets to get some Timbs or something. That came on the radio, and it was just like the joy in our faces. Like, Tribe was back. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, yo, like everybody was just happy. In the car, like, yo, we getting a new Tribe. Like, it's just something I love hearing. I mean, I don't know where Vern is going to end up with his list, but I mean, Tribe could end up having 3 of these 12 songs. Like, which is amazing. Okay, so,
yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? But even if they just ended up with 2, like, that's still huge for a group to say, like, yo, what you say, Vern?
Albums. Hey, it kills to your point right there. Why, when people talk about hip hop producers, does Tip get overlooked? Because think about it.
I can tell you why. It's because it kept saying produced by a Tribe Called Quest.
Okay.
If it would have said, and I know to me and everybody who I talk with, they thought Ali did the beats. Like, we were coming up the time with Pete and Premier and all the DJs, so we thought Ali did the beats. Yeah. But I believe if every Tribe album would have said produced by Q-Tip, starting with People's Instinctives, his name would be at amongst the top. Yeah. And you figure a lot of people didn't figure that out until the documentary. So by that time, it's been ingrained in our heads for 20 years. I mean, I knew the shit as soon as I heard Ali's beats and I heard Tip's beats. I was like, oh no, you ain't do that. And I'm like, oh, that's Kirkland, that's Give Up the Goods. Oh yeah, Tip did those beats. But for the majority of people, if you're not finding out till that documentary came out, for 25 years in your head, Ali did all the beats. So, but yeah. So I mean, Midnight for all those reasons. Just an incredible album. And then 36 again for all the same reasons. You talk about the album. I mean, the songs. I'm gonna talk about the skits. Yo, Killer Tape. Yo, everywhere through Morgan. Yo, where my Killer Tape at? Niggas didn't even know they was talking about the video, the actual video. Niggas was like, yo, what's the Killer Tape? Like, my man says my name is Kill. My man Cirque will be like, yo, where's my Killer Tape? Like, with beats on it. Like, that whole Torture. Like, Torture. Like, is he dead? Like, the skits alone had the replay value.
He fucking dead.
Right, what you fucking did? I busted the head 3 times. Like, the skits alone got replay value, Torture and just everything. So just to say, like, not only were the songs incredible, but I mean the skits, like, so that was incredible too. So that's my 3P. I know your time is coming up. You want to give me some more?
No, I'll go. I got a jet. So I will see you guys later, and thank you again for having me. I apologize I have to leave late, and this show was the most difficult show for me to come up with a list for. The most difficult, and I'm still mad at Kill. There's 2 shows that I'm mad at Kill about. This is going to be one of them. We'll talk about the other one another time. Okay, bye, guys.
All right, babe. I just went. So, JR, what you got up next?
Well, it's all of what y'all named. Midnight Marauders, of course, for all the same reasons that y'all said. Black Rain, for sure. Me and Elise just did catch that with Mark, and we talked about the album. And like we said, it was like Queen came so hard, and this is the time. Obviously, this is '93. Obviously, hip hop is becoming a little bit more hard. You know what I mean? And I think Queen Latifah really kind of stepped up to the plate. And like you said, the topic she was talking about, and just another day taking you back to her hood, and definitely getting on a track like Rough. I mean, come on, with KRS, Heavy D, and Tresh. And she did her thing on it. You know what I mean? So she was definitely representing for the females with Black Rain for sure. And Doggy Style, of course, favorite album of mine. For real, it was so anticipated, and he stepped up to the plate. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh God, it's bad. It was like everybody liked it. Everybody. I never seen nobody say they didn't like Doggy Style at all. You know what I mean? And he came with it, and come on, it's just a great album. So those 3, but a lot of the reasons y'all said, for real.
I'm still stuck on the What If show, or like, what if Doggy Style would have flopped?
Listen,
it's just like how we're talking about it, but like, yo, if that would have flopped, like, yo, that one album could have changed everything in hip hop. That's just crazy to me. Eddie, what you got for your next 3?
All right, so this is my I'm not East Coast biased 3 right here. So I'm going all West Coast this time around. So America's Most Wanted, The Chronic, and Doggy Style. I mean, I just think it doesn't matter what region, you know, those albums came from. Obviously, they're all West Coast, but they're just undeniable classic albums that you can't not mention, right? Obviously, Ice Cube with America's Most Wanted, coming from, you know, NWA, was one of the biggest groups, I think, at the time when they dropped. They were just making music like no one had ever heard, right? They changed the landscape of hip hop when they dropped. So Ice Cube going solo, kind of getting with the Bomb Squad, still being his aggressive self, but having that social political commentary, but from the hood, right? It, you know, kind of speaking from his perspective of growing up where he's from and experiencing that, but with that social political angle. So I think that was really dope and very important for hip hop. You know, that's why that got to be on there. The Chronic, definitely one of the albums that kind of changed the sound of hip hop, right? I mean, I think when people heard The Chronic, it was kind of like step your game up, because everything Dre did on that album was crisp. You know, they had the bangers. I mean, definitely big coming out party for Snoop. But just a bona fide classic album right there, man. You know, Nothing But a G Thing, Let Me Ride, Go On. And then Doggy Style, man, for all the reasons you guys mentioned, and you know, he just blew up as a star. I mean, I think we all kind of knew it, right? I mean, I think even from Deep Cover, right? From Deep Cover, then, you know, the Chronic, and then having his own solo album, and it delivered, and it was just incredible, right? And he just effortlessly making hit records. I mean, I think what the Shiznit was a freestyle, right? I mean, that's the word on the street, right? That whole joint was a freestyle. So that's just crazy, man. So those are my 3 for this round.
All right, no doubt. Vern, what you got up next?
1992. I'm going to start with a personal favorite of mine for personal reasons. I know the guy bit over his house, autographed his wall. 3 years, 5 months, and 2 days. Arrested Development. We never heard a hip hop album like that ever until it came out. I mean, bro, they were bold, they were different, and they stood on their principles. Plus, it has some dope stuff. Man, Tennessee is stupid. Everyday People, the remix with Bob James is dope. Rain of Revolution, Natural, Dawn of the Dreads. So I'm gonna give a speech in Arrested Development, their Flowers. My next two, The Chronic was like a tsunami. Like it was a force of nature when it came out. I mean, down in Atlanta, up in New York, out in Cali, everywhere, the Midwest. I mean, bruh, we had never seen nothing like that, man. To me, that was like the biggest rap album that I had never heard of was The Chronic. I mean, for a number of reasons. Like, I mean, the coming out party of Snoop, like you already said, the crispness of Dre's production, and hit after hit, all the crew cuts, Daz and Corrupt and Rage, just killer. RBX. And my last one for 92, I'm gonna go Bizarre Ride by the Far Side. Man, every time we got in the car to go to a club or something, that's the tape we put in. I mean, you got Passing Me By, Pass the Blunt, but what's the song? More Fish in the Sea,
Yeah.
Other Fish in the Sea, yeah. For Better or for Worse, they were silly. And again, you'll notice a theme on my list. I like
what year is that again?
92.
92. Okay.
Yeah, they were silly. They did not take themselves too seriously, but them dudes could rap their butt off. They could dance. They were some true b-boys, Kill. Because in fact they were dancers before they were rappers. So
it's just funny to me because they snuck in past like our 90, 91 time limit for like fun hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you couldn't deny Passing Me By. Like that's.
Oh no, you could not. Yeah. So those are my three. So that's 9. I got 3 more. Yep.
All right, Greg, what you got for your last 3, man?
Last 3, you already know what it is.
Oh.
Brooklyn in the building. Biggie Smalls, Ready to Die. Gangstar, Hard to Earn, and Scarface, The Diary. Biggie, Ready to Die. I mean, I don't know if y'all understand what being in Brooklyn was.
Brooklyn, yes.
Yeah, I was coming out. Like, it was like there was nothing else existed. You already had The Best of Biggie by Mr. C just being played everywhere because it was like the only thing you had as a primer before the album came out. And when you hear that intro of him coming out of jail or being born and all that stuff, and it leads into Things Done Changed, and it's so funny because when Things Done Changed came on, there's a line in there that I remember talking to my brother about the time. Me and my brother 10 years apart, and I remember he was saying like, yeah, cats and suckers, they, you know what I'm saying, they want to shoot. And I just thought about Biggie, step away with your fist fight ways, motherfucker. This ain't back in the days. Like, it's a different time, bro. It ain't your time. Like, all that rumbling shit. Nah. But like that, Warning, The What with Method Man, crazy. I heard that before the album came out. And hands down, my favorite song is Everyday Struggle. When I tell you, walking through Boys and Girls High School during the Mr. Mickens era, if y'all don't know, every day just playing that record, because even though the lyrics didn't resonate with me, the experience kind of did. You know what I'm saying? And the way Big conveyed it in a storytelling way, where it was like, he's not necessarily glamorizing the drug dealing, he's just telling you this is what it is. We're losing people, we had to go out of town, blah blah blah, all this stuff. So just a very dope album with a lot of looks. And I think in a lot of ways, just other stuff aside with Diddy, just bringing big storytelling to life with the ad libs and the background stuff that they kind of enhanced on his second album. Just kind of brought it all home with all the, the acting, like Suicidal Thoughts and having him on the line and all that. Very dope album. Gangstar Hard to Earn, I agree with Eddie. This is probably the most boom bap album they got, besides Moment of Truth. Mass Appeal is like, when that record is on, I'm comfortable being called an old head. I'm comfortable being called stuck in the 90s because you don't have shit like this.
No, you don't.
The video with the snorkel on and all, like, it was just the coolest shit I ever seen. The Wick was on there, even though it wasn't supposed to be originally, but The Wick was on there. Code of the Streets. And the best part for Code of the Streets for me is Premier Scratch on it. Because he just always took a sound or whatever and scratched it in a way, almost like DJ Scratch does, where you kind of make a new rhythm out of it by scratching it. But yeah, hands down, like, just one of Gangstar's best records ever. And what was my last one? Oh, Scarface, The Diary. The Scarface's debut is my favorite just because I just like gangster rap a lot, as you can tell. So I liked a lot of the lyrics and the beats and stuff, but The Diary was more thought-provoking and it had a lot more concepts. Like what you seeing him do at Tiny Desk, that's the vibe of the Diary album, right? Like the lyrics of Pope, even the song with Ice Cube, what is it? Hand of a Dead Body, I think it's called, where he's on the hook. They like, nigga don't believe that song, that nigga's wrong, gangsters don't live that long. Like, niggas don't admit shit like that. They just rather you think they're a gangster, but he's just telling you, like, don't believe them because it's short-lived. And to have Ice Cube on it, it was just a dope album altogether, and probably a precursor to, probably in a better way, but to the whole horrorcore scene with all the morbid talk and stuff like that. So yeah, those three definitely classics in my opinion.
That's dope. The last three I got, Illmatic, again, for all the reasons that everybody said. Funny thing is, over time, whenever I want to hear Nas, I go to It Was Written. So again, I don't know if that means I like it more, but whenever I'm in the mood for some Nas, it was written. But I mean, Illmatic was just crazy. And I mean, Veg, we were getting like little snippets up at 889. So I remember hearing The World Is Yours for the first time and just being like, yo, what the fuck? Like, like this is crazy. And then hearing, One Love and just, just everything about that. Represent, like, just everything about that album is what it is. And I agree with everybody else. To me, it's not the greatest hip hop album of all time. I'm too old for that. Southern Playalistics, man. Outkast, man. Just incredible album, man. Just from start to finish, everything. And for people who don't know, Cass is my personal GOAT group ever. So I mean, that was just crazy for me. And then Ready to Die, for everything that everybody said. I mean, Veg, it was like, even not being in Brooklyn, but being at Morgan, like, you just wanted to get your hands on anything Big was on. Like, it was just that crazy from a mixtape. So I remember my man YZ playing the Total Can't You See, and I'm just like, yo, what's that? That's Big. Like, you would just hear Big's voice and you would just be like, what's that? Like, yo, I got a hat. I remember I put that on my answering machine. Like, and niggas was calling like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like, and of course I cut it off before Total came on, before the song was even out. They was like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like, Big was just a phenomenon, like, I hadn't seen in a minute. I mean, again, of course we had it with Snoop, but the Big it felt different from Snoop. It was like we knew it was coming, but I don't feel like Snoop was kind of everywhere. It's just like you were hearing about it coming and then it came. With Biggie, you were hearing about it coming and he was everywhere and then it came. So it was just like, Ready to Die was just, and again, every time Big would piss me off, like, man, fuck that Juicy, and then be like, Warning, like, oh, okay, fuck that Big Papa shit, oh shit, unbelievable, okay. Like, it was just like the back and forth was just like, yo, this dude could just do it all. And again, I know we give props to Big, but we gotta give props to Hef, because I felt like he was the template of the blueprint of who could do that originally, who could do a radio song and could do a street song, and so everybody's always like Big. I mean Jay and Nas and everybody's trying to bite Big's template when essentially they were trying to bite Hef's template. So definitely want to shout out Hef. So that's my last three. JR, what you got for your last three?
Same one for y'all. Same one. Hard to Earn, just for mass appeal alone. Like Big said, like when you hear that song, it's just something. You know what I mean? Like it's just something. It takes me back to the first time when I heard it with my parents. You know what I mean? Like it's just a feel good song. And then I think Hard to Earn is actually my favorite album from Gangstar anyway. So so that Illmatic, of course. But I'm like y'all, if I want to listen to Nas, I go to It Was Written because that's how I was introduced to him first. But then I had to go back to Illmatic. So once I went to Illmatic, I realized why people call it the best of all time. But I agree with y'all, it's not. But I give it that respect of what it did and all that. But the last one, obviously, Ready to Die. Brooklyn, for real, is my favorite hip hop album of all time for me anyway. Big was just speaking for Brooklyn. If you didn't know it, you just listen to that. And a song like Everyday Struggle, like you said, I didn't understand. I didn't, go through any of that, but you felt him. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh God, you know what I mean? It was just the depth of it was just so dope. So Ready to Die, definitely hands down my favorite. So those are my last three.
One more thing about Illmatic, I had written down, I forgot. We did a show live from the Writers Bench years ago called How Illmatic Ruined Hip Hop, I think was what I titled it, because it brought in the whole value mill producer. Before Illmatic, and not necessarily before Illmatic, because the youngsters kind of had it on their second album, The Aftermath. They had Primo, they had Pete, they had Marley, they had KG, and they had the Beat Nuts, which at that time was a crazy lineup to have. But I felt like after Illmatic, it was kind of like oh shit, you mean we could get other producers to produce for us? Because prior to that, Gangstar Premier just produced for Gangstar. Marley just produced for the Juice Crew, and everybody produced for their crew. But I felt like after Illmatic, it was like, oh, okay, like that set. Now everybody's sound was just kind of getting mixed up. So now, of course, it didn't ruin hip hop. It just brought something new into play. But that something new into play kind of like how Fonte was like Ninth Wonder was giving away the Little Brother sound. Like your crew's sound was yours because your producer just stayed. If I was the only producer for 5B and that I only produced for you four guys, then I start going out producing for other people. Y'all may feel like, damn man, the sound. Now that sound that we had is gone. So I always felt like, Illmatic was like, that was like an asterisk to me in hip hop, where it's like that's something that I think kind of changed people's mentality to be like, oh, okay, you mean I could just get 2 Pete Rocks and 2 Just Blazes and 1 Timbaland and 2 Dr. Dre's and I got my album done. Like we weren't thinking like that prior to Illmatic. So just to point that out. Eddie, what you got for you? Oh, what you gonna say?
Just real quick, just thinking about what you said, like how we always think about like with Tribe, if Tribe had the Crooklyn beat, like you can already hear it. You already hear it being dope. I could hear Guru over New York State of Mind's beat.
Oh,
easy.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But would it have been the same?
Probably not. But I've heard that was some of the intention with Gangstar of, yo, why you giving that beat to him? Like, yo, that shit crazy. Well, I know that Google, I've heard that Google would be like, well, if you got that song with Jay, like, let me get on that shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, nigga, I can't make Jay get you on, like, but as your partner, it would be like, yo, let me jump on with Big. You like, you know what I mean? Or let me jump.
Well, one thing you said that I also thought about, I think like what I kind of agree with Fonte with Little Brother, because they kind of just jumped off the porch with it, right? And now the production is going everywhere else, whereas Guru and Premier had already been doing them, Tribe had already been doing them, so the sound was already well established through multiple albums, as opposed to, you know, everybody's loving the Minstrel Show and now you over here with Jay-Z and they act like we don't exist.
Right. And I think the other thing that Gangstar had that we don't think about is that Google was an old man. Like, this dude was a man. Like, this dude wasn't no, like, little boy. Like, So I love the fact that it was like, okay, we got the Gangstar album. Now you go do you. I'm gonna go do me a Jasmine Taz. And we gonna link back up. So even if Google felt some kind of way, it's like, well, nigga, you over there with Lonnie Liston Smith. Like, ask Lonnie for a beat. Like, nigga, I'm over here doing me. Like, get Roy to get you or whatever like that. Another thing that I was thinking about with Mass Appeal is, again, the funny part. When early on we were talking about crossover. That's their biggest record, and Premier's like, the funniest part was we were making fun of the radio with that sample was just us feeling like elevator music. So it's ironic that we're making fun of the radio, and that's our biggest hit. Same thing with EPMD's crossover. They're literally telling you don't cross over, and it crossed them over.
They crossed
you know
over.
what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, it's just ironic that these niggas are like, no, we don't want to do that shit. What the fuck? Like, wow. Like, so it's just ironic that shit happens like that. Eddie, what you got up for your last three?
All right, going with hard decisions, right, coming down to the end. But I decided, even though I could do 2 Tribe albums, I want to, give someone else the spot. So I'm going Mecca and the Soul Brother, Mama Said Knock You Out, and Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music. And I was gonna have Low End in that last spot, but you can't ignore what Outkast did, with that album. You know what I'm saying? Like they said in the award ceremony, the South got something to say. That was a really big statement. You know what I'm saying? I think for a lot of people to take notice. Obviously Players Ball. But they had a lot of joints on there. Obviously, the albums to come. I feel like the albums that came after that, I think, depending on who you are, I personally think they became more accessible, even though they were more eclectic. I feel like Southern Playlistic was an album for the South, but it was an album that appealed outside of the South as well. So definitely a dope album that deserves to be up there. Mecca and the Soul Brother, man, like it's my favorite Pete and CL album. I was just thinking, man, if I can say one hip hop album that I feel like I could enjoy as much, and this is no knock on CL Smooth, but if I could say one hip hop album that I could enjoy just as much with just the instrumentals, it would be that album. I mean, just the beats on that album were just incredible. To the production of the songs, to the interludes and all that stuff. I mean, what could have been on some of them interludes, man, but just absolutely incredible. Obviously, we talk about Troy, but I feel like the whole album from beginning to end is just crazy. Obviously, the crazy posse cut with the basement and all that too. And then Mama Said Knock You Out, man. Definitely to have a legend like LL just have such a big comeback album, and I know like he had done it before, but I mean, come from when the radio come out, like what was it, 84, 85? Oh, you're muted, Kill.
My fault, 85.
Yeah. And it's like now, I feel like now in 5 or 6 years, it don't sound too crazy now, but the way hip hop was evolving, right, from the 80s into the 90s, for LL to drop that album was just incredible, right? You know what I'm saying? Like Round the Way Girl and the title track Mama Said Knock You Out, 6 minutes of pleasure. I mean, just an incredible album, and just kind of established himself as a force to be reckoned with. I mean, still, so
go ahead and say it, Eddie. Just go ahead and say it. Go.
The GOAT. There you go. The GOAT. Yeah, man.
All right, Vern, what you got for your last three, bro?
Yeah, so my math was all off. I'm doing 3 songs and then got to the end and realized I got 2 years that I got to do together. So I had to cut and paste. All right, so uh, Midnight Marauders. All right, so if I said that People's Instinctive was senior year of high school and Low End was college, Midnight Marauders is I graduated, I got a good job, and I got my own place, and I got a new whip. Bruh, it was the sonics on that album are incredible. Let's talk about award tour. So True Goy really ain't on the album. I mean, on the song, but he's on the song, and it's just incredible. Something else I want to point out. So we had Ron Carter on the bass on Verses from the Abstract. On Sucker Nigga, that's Ron Carter on California Concert back in the 70s on the bass. That's Red Clay on Red Clay from California Concert. That was one of my uncle's favorite records. And so it's like, yo, I've heard this before, and this is where I heard it. And I'm just reading the credits, and it says that Raphael Sadiq was on Midnight.
He was.
I'm late. I was today years old when I when I got that Electric Relaxation. Man, bruh, come on, man, that's iconic hip hop. And then the last 2 songs on this album make me cry. Lyrics to Go, Bleeding Into God Lives Through. That's like, man, this. How can I say this? That's like all that we hoped hip hop would be. It's like the culmination of it. And then, especially when you watch the Beats, Rhymes, and Life documentary, and then especially as we know that Phife is no longer here, it just does something, man. I mean, because Lyrics to Go, man. So when I was dating my wife, she used to listen to Minnie Riperton and Inside My Love, and so that was like a connecting point for me and her, because my wife don't really care about hip hop. I'm like, you hear that when Minnie goes, ah. Now listen to this. So now she's a big, Q-Tip fan. Is that Q-Tip? Yeah, that's the only rapper you know. But anyway, so I'm gonna go Midnight Marauder. Of course, my computer's turned on the way, but Southern Playalistic is on my wall. Man, that album holds a special place in my heart for a number of reasons. I've shared this story. I'm gonna share it again. So we went, me and my boys Chris and Conrad, who got platinum plaques with Pop. They knew Rico from summer school. We went to the original dungeon so Rico could listen to our demo. And he was like, "Yeah, man, them beats dope, but your rapper ain't quite in pocket." I ain't let him know that I was the rapper, but he wasn't lying. Anyway, he was playing something. We was like, "Yo, what is that?" Oh yeah, this is a little group we working on Outkast. Matter of fact, y'all need to come to the showcase this Friday. So you go from that to 10 million selling hip hop albums. So, and Outkast, man, put us on the map, put hair on our chest, made us stick our chest out, man. And that's why we will go to war for Dungeon, Organized, Outkast, because before that, we had Chris Cross, but yeah, and the rest of the development lived here, but they're not Atlanta. And so, because you would hear a cat from Brooklyn talking about Marcy or Delancey Street or whatever, but these were the first dudes talking about East Point, College Park, the SWATs. It's like, yeah, that's us, and we can relate to it. So, and man, Hootie Hoo. I remember we were at a club. We was in VIP with Pop. And Hootie Hoo came on. Man, Pop lost his mind. And Dre was walking around. He's like, man, come on in here. So Hootie Hoo and the whole album, man, just made us love them and made people love them. So that's 2. And then this last one, man, it's a battle royale. I'm gonna go with Blue Funk. just to be different. Just to be different. To me, I mean, Kill, you talk about it all the time. That's how you set an album off. And
truthful, man.
Listen.
Yeah. And so Heavy D was one of them dudes who he could have the boom bap with P and with Premier, but then he could have some Eddie F or whatever, and Tammy Lucas singing all on it. But you didn't look at him as if he were trying to make a radio friendly hit. That was just Heavy D, man. And then Blue Funk is where I really got my major first taste of Biggie Smalls on a bunch of niggas. So Heavy wasn't never afraid to share his limelight with people. He always had a posse cut or whatever. I mean, Pete tells stories about how he gave him confidence to rap and put his stuff out, man. So that's one that nobody probably would put in their Bible. I was gonna go with some other stuff, but those have already been said. So I'm gonna go with Blue Funk.
All right. Now tell me this. Excuse me. Throughout this show, I've heard some of these albums are your favorite albums ever. So Vague, you said Death Certificate. It's your favorite hip hop album ever, right? Eddie, you said Midnight Marauders is your favorite hip hop album ever. JR, you said Doggy Style is your favorite hip hop album. Oh, it's not?
Ready to Die is.
Oh, Ready to Die. I apologize. What is it about those two questions? Did you know, and it may not have known this, but did you know, like, when you heard it, like, after you hearing it, you're like, yeah, this ain't going nowhere. Like, when did you know that these were your favorite albums ever? And what's like the one thing that you could use, one word that you could use to explain why it's your favorite album ever?
If y'all thinking, I could start, and I'll tell you this: when I first heard Midnight Marauders, I loved it, but it wasn't even my favorite album from '93, because when that Wu-Tang dropped, like, it just immersed me so much in that new sound, that new movement, right? But I think with Midnight Marauders, it never went anywhere, right? It had that longevity. And I think as I grew up, I feel like there's certain things about 36 Chambers that as I grew up and matured, that was kind of like, okay,
you ain't want to hear about Shamik getting busting his head 2 times anymore, God?
Right. I feel like Tribe was more relatable, and I think even with the production and the samples, it just resonated over time. It just had that staying power, had that it aged like fine wine, you know what I'm saying? So throughout the years, I could put on that album and I just never got disappointed. And at some point, I just realized, damn, this is my favorite album.
Okay. And what would be one word to describe Midnight?
Oh, man. It's hard, man. I mean, I don't want to use the word perfect or whatever, but I mean...
Nah, shit, if you think it's perfect, that's it. That's your word.
I think it is perfect, or maybe flawless to me. I mean, you think of just the beats, the rhymes over it, and maybe it's not the best maybe it's not the best beats of all time. Maybe it's not the best rhymes of all time, right? We talk about Phife and Q-Tip, but I think the blend of both, along with the sequencing of the album, to me is what makes it a perfect album, right? And also the feeling that you get from the music, right? Which is just it's why you listen, right? I mean, you could talk about the technicality of how MC delivered these rhymes or all the wordplay and this and that. At the end of the day, sometimes it's about the feeling you get. And every time I listen to that album, it's just that feeling that just never goes away.
So you going with feeling, perfect, or flawless?
You know what? I think feeling. All
right.
Yeah.
All right. Vague, what about you with Death Certificate?
I think for me, it was like the intro and the final song that did it, because the intro kind of set the tone, and then the first song kind of kind of set you on course for what the album was going to be. And then to have something that's like, oh, it's the end of the album, but there's one more song and it's a diss record. It just had that rewind factor that made me want to go right back to the beginning of the album. And that's how I knew, like, I really liked it, because every time I would go through that journey, I always wanted to begin again, basically. One word, I describe it as transparent, because I think Ice Cube's boldness to say whatever he felt, because at the time that album had a lot of controversy as far as being against Koreans and calling them anti-Semitic and all that, but a lot of it was true because it was coming from experiences from the hood with the other races that were true. So I just really dug into it because I was at an impressionable age where a lot of times I listened to rappers for life experience. I wasn't outside all the time, smoking and drinking and all of that. I had influences outside of rap, but artists like that told me a lot about the world from the position of a black man or a black woman or whatever. So for me, it had that kind of impression on me, because it was like, this is how I think, and this is how I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna say what I feel, and honestly, I've kind of been that with my entire life. And it's not solely Ice Cube. Some of it is just being Aries, but the death certificate joint reinforced my boldness when I just wanted to say shit that I felt. So,
all right. What about you with Raised Die, JR?
Well, when it came out, we was in South Carolina during the time, so it made us definitely feel like we were at home. It made us feel like home. And then with Unbelievable, it's a quote that I live by, thanks to my mother. You know what I'm saying? If I said it, I meant it. Bite my tongue for no one. So it's like, anytime that I hear that, and just, for me, it just ate that. But
to this day, throw down some ice for the nicest MC. I don't think was in a
niggas know the feel. He was just nuts with it, and then it just made you feel like at home. And it was just like, if you knew Brooklyn, you listened to that album, you knew it was like, yeah, this is what it felt like. You know what I mean? So then getting quotables and things that I live by, that Unbelievable, I will never forget. So that, to me, that album just means just everything to me, and it kind of trumps a lot of, am I biased? Yeah, but it kind of trumps everything because of that. So, and if I had one word, I would have to call it unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like, that would be it for me, for Ready to Die. So.
Now, Bert, I didn't miss you, did you? Your favorite album?
You didn't miss me, but I'm usually not one of those favorite album number one person, but I've looked at every album that I listed here, and Midnight Marauder is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, because of what I said, the progression. I mean, I told you the last two songs can make me cry because of how beautiful they are, how perfect they are. So yeah. You said one word. Perfect. This is what I would say. For me, if somebody had never heard hip hop and they said, "What's a hip hop album should I listen to?" I would say Midnight Marauders off the things that I've said here, because this is another reason why I know this is true. I've been at music festivals, like One Music Fest, and there have been niggas from Bankhead, guys from Buckhead, middle class blacks, lower class white boys, frat boys, and Tribe is that connecting factor on all of them. So that's why I would choose that.
The word is connector?
That's a good one. Yeah, I would say that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hey, cool, connector. that's dope. And for everybody watching, this is to show you how crazy 90 to 94 was. You know what I mean? Because 4 people had their favorite album from this time span. Tribe has been mentioned 3 times out of the 12 albums in this time span. So just, you know, for people watching, some of the younger cats who don't understand why people say 90s is the golden era, this is a key reason why so many people consider the 90s the golden era. So these are the albums that we're putting in the Hip Hop Bible. We will be back the next time with 95 through 99. I think I got that right? That's 95, 96, 97, 98, 99.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, we got it. Use my fingers. Vern, where can they get at you, good brother?
Instagram at @VTheLoanCloser, on Twitter, VChandler10.
All right, Eddie, where can I get at you, good brother?
Twitter at EddieD80, Instagram at Freestyles.
All right, JR, what y'all got cooking up over there?
Just everything just to catch that. I'll catch that minis as well. I'm loving what me and Elise have with her doing the 60-second vinyl with Elise, where she picks a vinyl and talks about it for a minute, get you in and out. JR's Motown Life, I pick a Motown record, talk about it for like 3-4 minutes and in and out, which is great because people's attention span ain't that long, so get them in and get them out. So that's what people are really enjoying that. I catch that it's still hot. Our last episode of the year was the Queen Latifah Black Rain that we did with Mark, which was really, really dope. And next year, just some new things in store, which is great. We trying to get some sponsors thrown at us, so we in the talks for that, which is great. Just follow us, R&B Reps on Instagram, Twitter, JR's World of Soul on Instagram and Twitter, Naturally Elise on Twitter and Instagram as well.
I think one of the reasons why I love that shit that Elise does with the minute, because when I saw it, I was like, how the fuck you gonna tell me about this album in a minute? And she told me about the album in a minute. So I think that was also the thing that I loved it, because I was like, that shit ain't gonna work. And it was like, oh shit, that shit worked. It was like, this is fucking amazing. I'm hit up like, yo, this is the best fucking idea I've ever heard in my life. Like, y'all got this is crazy.
When she told me about it too, I was like, how the hell you gonna pull this off? Because she normally do her vinyl themes and it'd be like 10-15 minutes. And I was like, how you gonna pull this off? And when she sent it to me, I was like, yo, you pulled this shit off. Like, yo, it was dope. So for her to do that, I think it was just brilliant, man. It was brilliant.
Right. Meg, where can I get at you, man?
You can follow me on everything social media at Vegas Where INC. You can check out my podcast on YouTube, Hip Hop Now Podcast. I just did a best of 2023, and by the time you see this episode, I'll have a top 5 most disappointing albums of 2023, which
that's a long list, ain't it?
No, it's only 5. It's only 5. I ain't trying to do that much work.
That's crazy. You already know what it is with me. Kill889, Twitter, IG. Normally, I got a hip hop book. I've been telling you, man, these people, man, I gotta stay off the internet, man. I just got this Bua piece right here. The statue. Justin Bua is one of my favorite artists out here. So this is this piece he's got called The Artist. So if anybody knows anything about me, Graph is what made me fall in love with hip hop. And I mean, this piece is like crazy. Like, they've actually got the train tracks, the spray paint cans, and, you know, just the detail on the boy's face. You know, he's got the wire cutters in his backpack right here to cut through the wires of the train yard and everything like that. So just a crazy dope piece. So if you cats are interested in stuff like that, check out Justin Bua, B-U-A. Very, very dope artist. I got a lot of his work up around the crib. So good looking, y'all. I will check y'all next week, y'all.
Any motherfucker whispering about proceed. What you think all the guns is for? 2 Block 9s. Any motherfucker whispering about